This is the Onguza Goat, a custom steel bike made in Namibia, Africa. And if you're not familiar with the Race Metal series, I'm on a quest to find the fastest metal bikes on the market, to test them, race them, even sleep with them. About a year ago, I stumbled across the Onguza Made Out Here video on YouTube. It was a masterclass in advertising. I was immediately in love with the bikes and the expanse of Namibia. I knew I had to learn everything I could about the brand and try to get my hands on one. And now I get to share all the beautiful details of this bike, how it was made and by who, build specifications, my experience building a custom frame, and why I think that steel is the way to go for gravel. I also want to point out that this is my bike. I pay for it, and I think it's important we all support small frame builders. Digging into Onguza's story, I found Dan Craven, or also known as Dan from Nam. Born and raised in Namibia, he's a former Olympian and World Tour rider. After retiring from professional cycling, Dan returned to his hometown of Omaruru and founded Onguza. His goal was to build world-class steel bikes, challenging perceptions of African goods, while allowing the bikes to speak for themselves in terms of quality and aesthetics. Onguza's senior frame builders, Petros Mufenge and Zakaria Nkolo, are part owners of the company. In a country where talented makers often end up doing farm labor or in low-paying jobs, Dan's vision was to fully utilize their talents to craft luxury handmade bicycles. Throughout the build process of my bike, Dan shared that Petros and Zakaria have worked with master frame builders from around the world to perfect their craft. And when people ask me what bike I'm riding, I'm proudly say, it's a custom steel African bike, a phrase I'm sure they never heard before. I'm here to make a case for custom steel. People who ride steel bikes don't need convincing. I'm here to speak to the bike racing, spandex wearing, carbon lovers out there. We don't need the latest frame every year. Steel rides beautifully. It's compliant and stiff in the right areas. And for long gravel races, being comfortable makes you fast. The marginal gains in weight and aerodynamics from carbon frames are inconsequential to most of us, and the loss over new tech fades quickly. I'm here to tell you that after 6 months, every ride on my Onguza feels like new bike day all over again. And steel frames last much longer than carbon frames, are repairable, can be stripped and refinished or modified much easier than carbon or aluminum. And as the saying goes, steel is real. Okay, but how does it ride? First of all, the bike was custom built for me, and experiencing the sensation of riding it for the first time was surreal. I had to adjust the seat height, and that was it. The bike was perfect from the get-go. Steel does an amazing job acquiring the chatter of New Mexico gravel. It's flexy in the right areas, and for long days in the saddle, having this type of comfort that only steel provides makes a huge difference. And last but not least, this bike carries the fast pedigree of a World Tour rider. As someone who likes to race and go fast, this bike puts me in the right position to put power down, and it is very smooth at higher speeds. Onguza builds bikes to be fast and durable, so they can withstand the Namibians' tough desert conditions. I mean, breaking down in the middle of nowhere isn't an option there. They have lions. Speaking of going fast, this bike was race tested in Pueblo, Colorado at grassroots gravel. I did the 75-mile course with 3,500 feet of climbing in 4 hours and 10 minutes, and the bike truly shone in the last hour of the race. I felt really comfortable after 3.5 hours of hard racing. My position on the bike and the compliance were key to alleviating the fatigue that comes from riding lots of miles. I interviewed Dan and asked him about the name of the bike, tubing selection, who paints the bikes, and more. He told me that goats are such an essential part of everyday life in Namibia. You see them everywhere. They're hardy survivalists, but also cheeky and fun, and that feels like a gravel bike to him. Namibia is famous for its wildlife. They have one of the largest populations of cheetahs in the world. Yet, they celebrate the humble goat and cow. The people there are proud of their herds, and that's what Onguza wants to celebrate. Onguza primarily uses Columbus tubing, but is gradually exploring other options due to shipping costs and logistic constraints. The key tubing variations are in the top tube and the down tube on the gravel bikes. Larger frames get a tapered top tube, 31.7 millimeters to 28.6, while smaller frames use a consistent 28.6 millimeters tube. The down tube remains 35 millimeters, but it comes in different bottom profiles, with the live 35mm tube being the main choice. A challenge with narrower tubes is matching them aesthetically with modern carbon forks, which often require large head tubes, making tube selection an ongoing process of refinement. The bikes are painted by Elvis Presley Sages, who operates a spray painting business nearby and works part-time in the company's on-site paint booth. He is assisted by junior frame builder Sekius, helping to bridge the gap between frame building and painting, improving quality control. The colorway of my bike is currently called Khaki, though the name may change in the future. The brand's paint designs are evolving, initially featuring bold eye-catching patterns like the funky cow print on the fork and stem. Now, the cow print has been moved to the inside of the fork for more subtle but still distinctive touch. Here is the geometry for those who want to pause and dissect my awkwardly long legs. And check out the full interview with Dan at theradavis.com. In order to appreciate the craftsmanship of Namibian frame builders, I asked John to help me showcase all the beautiful details that make this bike so interesting to look at. Handmade stainless steel dropouts, much less handmade stainless UDH dropouts, are very rare these days. The double bridge in the seat stays is a signature detail from Onguza, Columbus steel painted logo. The funky cow print inside the fork teaches us the importance of cattle in the Namibian culture. The brass plaque with the serial number on the bottom bracket. The painted stem and seat post to color match the frame is a nice touch. The brass head tube badge that represents the sun from the Namibian flag rising over the mountains. The Goat was built around the new wireless Sram 13-speed gravel group set. The bike doesn't even have cable routing for mechanical shifting. This was a huge gamble on my part that could come back and bite me in the nalgas. The group set has performed flawlessly so far. The only caveat is being the experience. Shifting, it feels like tapping an iPhone. You feel a little disconnected with the bike and the terrain. And another thing that I've experienced with the bike is low battery anxiety. I question myself almost every ride if I charge my bike. The full frame set, frame, fork, stem, seat post, and headset, painted and shipped, starts at $4,100 with a $1,500 deposit to begin the process. Alright, I know, this isn't pennies, but this is an investment and a testament to the quality that Dan, Zachariah, and Petrus are dedicated to. They build top-class bikes with premium materials and meticulous attention to detail. Everything is handled in-house, even the masterful paint jobs by Elvis Presley. The word Onguza means the vast expanse of nothingness. For short, Onguza means desert. The Goat carries the heritage of a racer like Dan Craven, while also being built to endure the tough Namibian desert. The unique buying experience of a custom steel frame is not for everyone, but if budget allows, I will reiterate to all carbon lovers out there, this is the way. Steel is pointing the way. This is more than just a bike. It's a story of a place and its people, of challenging the norms and making luxury bicycles in an unexpected corner of the world. This bike exemplifies renaissance and attention to detail. This is the bike that I look at every night and whisper, "Good night," softly, so my wife doesn't hear. What a beautiful piece of art that I get to ride every day. Thank you for watching the Race Metal series by The Radavis. And see you guys in the next one.